Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. This is part 2 for the recorded lecture for the topic strict liability, continuation of part 1. So for part 1, we have discussed about the definition and followed by all the three elements. So we have done the discussion on the three elements. So now we come to the another part of the topic, which is available defenses. Actually, there are specific topics which is to cater for defenses, okay, available defenses under torts law. But this subtopic under strict liability is some of the available defenses which are unique, okay, to this topic alone. Okay? I mean that here some of the defenses here are actually general defenses available to all tortious action. There are six altogether, okay, in the list here. The first one, consent of the plaintiff, okay, default of the plaintiff, acts of God, acts of a stranger, statutory authority, and common benefit. So let's have a look. Okay, for benefit for or consent of plaintiff, we have the case of Peters and Prince of Wales Theatre. And for act of stranger, in which defendant has no control, we have the case of Perry and Kendrick's Transport Limited. For acts of God, we are going to discuss the case of Nichols and Marsland, very, very old case, classic case. And then for statutory authority, we have the case of Green, Chelsea Waterworks Company, in which it discusses about if the escape is a direct result of carrying out the duty by statutory bodies, basically. Okay, for the defense of benefit for or consent of plaintiff. So this is the case to illustrate the rule here. Peters and Prince of Wales Theatre reported in 1943. What happened here? Claimant leased a shop adjacent to a theatre, okay, from the defendant, and defendant actually was the owner of the theatre. And the claimant shop sustained flood damage, okay, when pipes from the theatre sprinkler system it burst, okay, due to icy weather conditions. Because during the snowy, okay, the snow or during the winter, okay, because of the very extreme weather, okay, extreme cold. So the sprinkler system burst, the pipe burst basically. Now the claimant, the lessee, okay, he brought an action based on liability for under Rylance and Fletcher. But the court held that defendants was not liable. Why? Why is that so? The sprinkler system was equally for the benefit of the claimant. So he benefited from the system. And the claimant was deemed to have consented to the use of the sprinkler system since it had been installed prior to him obtaining the lease. It will be different if the sprinkler system is only meant for the defendant. Here, plaintiff also benefited from the system and he consented to the existence of the system, to the usage of the system. So there's no liability under Rylance and Fletcher. For acts of stranger in which defendant has no control, we have the case of Perry and Kendrick's Transport Limited, reported in 1956. Here, defendant kept an old coach. Coach is a bus that needed repair on their land, adjoining a piece of wasteland. And one day, complainant here, a young boy of 10-year-old, a child, he approached two other boys, so there are three of them on the wasteland close to the coach. And as he got close, the other two boys, I believe naughty boys here, lit a match and threw it into the petrol tank of the coach, causing an explosion. So it caused the complainant to suffer from severe burns. So now complainant brought an action under the principle set out in Rylance and Fletcher. But the court held that no liability under Rylance Fletcher. Why? Because the escape was caused by deliberate action of a third party. So meaning that here, this is the real cause is the act of the stranger, the act of the third party, and it was deliberately done. So there's no liability for under Rylance and Fletcher. For acts of God, the landmark case is Nichols and Marsland, reported in 1976, 19th century case here. So defendant diverted a natural stream on his land to create ornamental lakes. So he did this, okay, to have a lake. And one day there was exceptionally heavy rain. So it caused the artificial lakes, okay, the lakes that he created, and waterways to be flooded and damaged adjoining land. Meaning that here the water overflow, okay, from the lake overflow. But the court held that defendant was not liable. Because why? This is the defense, acts of God. The cause of the flood was actually acts of God. Heavy rain was heavy rain in that particular case happening at that particular moment of time was held to be acts of God, and it's a strong defense if the court accepted the defense of acts of God. So cannot hold defendant liable under violence and Fletcher. For the defense of statutory authority, we have this case, Green and Chelsea Waterworks Company, reported in 1894. What happened was that a water main, water main is the underground part, causing damage to the claimant's land. So it affected claimant's land. And Chelsea Waterworks, they were under a statutory obligation. They are appointed by the government. Statutory obligation, works for the public, civil duty, civil servant, to maintain high pressure in the water main. Meaning that here, any escape will inevitably cause damage. Meaning whatever escape from the water main here will cause damage. But the court held that they were not liable under violence and Fletcher because they are protected under the defense of statutory authority. They did their work for the public. They are doing their work under statutory, as a part of their statutory duty. So cannot hold liable under violence and Fletcher. Okay, now we want to know what's the modern position of the rule. Is it still a good rule which is applied, which has a very high benefit here? So actually, if you look further, if you examine closer, actually the rule here is between negligence and private nuisance. That's why in some of the cases when the plaintiff or claimant follows suit, they put all the three grounds here: negligence, private nuisance, and violence and Fletcher. And then also because of the applicability of defenses, strong defense of acts of God, so sometimes the rule is not really relevant. It's hard to prove the case under the rule. Also, the requirements of forcibility, it makes the rule very hard to prove, and sometimes it's not really useful. We have the case here, Dunn and Northwestern Gas Board, 1964. So in this case, English Court of Appeal, the court asserted that defendant's liability in Rylands and Fletcher could simply have been placed on defendant's failure to take reasonable care. Meaning that here the case can be argued under negligence rather than strict liability as founded under Rylands and Fletcher. So in other words, the court was trying to say that, well, the usefulness has been reduced. There's another way to prove the case, not really under strict liability of Rylands and Fletcher. Okay, and this is the facts of the case of Dunn and Northwestern Gas Board. Gas escaped from a gas main, just now water main, now gas main, caused by a burst water main. So the gas traveled along a sewer, and was ignited. So it caused series of explosion, resulting in injuries to 5 claimants. There are 5 claimants in this case. Okay, one of the claimants was blown off her bicycle. The other 2 claimants were 2 young children. They were injured when they were playing in the street. And the last claimant and another claimant, the other 2 claimants, husband and wife, they suffered injuries in their home because of the effect of explosion. So they actually, all of them here, all the 5 of them here, they brought an action based on liability under Rylands and Fletcher. But the court held that defendant was not liable because it cannot fulfill the first element, because it's not really non-natural use of land. The gas board had not accumulated gas for their own purposes. So in other words, the rules is not really useful in this situation. So it's better for them to prove their case under negligence rather than Rylands and Fletcher in order to make the defendant strictly liable, or to make it, to be imposed with absolute liability. Okay, and the rule in Rylands and Fletcher, it was stated in this case, is excluded for works constructed or conducted under statutory authority. Meaning this defense is applicable, if you were to apply or prove the case under Rylands and Fletcher. And the judge, Salazar LJ, delivering the judgment of Court of Appeal, he said, well, there is a mandatory obligation, there would be in the court's opinion, no liability, if what had been done was expressly required by statute. So it's a strong defense, statutory authority here. Meaning that here we cannot hold them liable under Rylands and Fletcher. Okay, that's all for this topic. We have covered everything. It's not really a long topic. So I stop share for a while. Okay, that's all. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.